Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Ginormous reveals today, very exciting stuff. We got the Alliance Insight TCG announcement, nothing crazy here. I thought this might be the announcement where they also drop like the first, maybe the name and a little description and the first maybe card of like the next TCG exclusive archetype that's coming in Supreme Darkness. Nothing here yet, but we'll get that in the next couple weeks probably. The big news today though is this, a brand new reptile based archetype called what is it? MITSURUGI. I'm sure that name will be translated later on, but still very cool to see. So let's get into this thing. Starting off here, let's take a look at our first two monsters here. It's a reptile archetype, which is very cool, and a ritual based. This is, we're just going to call them by their names at the end there, Kusanagi, and this is Saji. Very cool. Reptile based low key, and something kind of interesting. If this is like fully ritual based, and if you can kind of do everything within rituals, you might even be able to play Ryziel as an engine in this deck, because Ryziel only locks you in the extra deck into rank 4s. So you might be able to just play Ryziel, use Ryziel to make King of the Feral Imps, search any of these guys, and just like, you know what I mean, facilitate your plays here. But who knows? We'll have to see. All right, first guy, Kusanagi, the guy on the left. This is a level 4 dark reptile monster, 16,400 for the stats. You can only sorry, not at the end there, whatever. If this card is normal or special summoned, or if this card is tributed, you can target a MITSURUGI card in your graveyard or banishment, add it to the hand. Okay, cool. Not bad. It's a recovery card. It's not a starter on its own because you don't have anything in rotation yet, but okay. If another reptile monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can tribute this card instead. Oh, that's fun. So, like, on field, it's kind of a protection card, and if you even protect something, it tributes itself, which then triggers the first effect to get another add back, which is cool. We all know in ritual decks you have to have a really good resource loop and ways to plus, because inherently ritual summoning is just such a nagging mechanic, right? You have to give up a monster and normally use a spell just for the tribute cost of a monster at the very least. So cool. Cool recovery card. Nothing crazy, though. Next up here, we have Saji. This is a level 4 dark reptile. 1,000 attack, 1,700 defense. If this card is normal or special summoned or tributed, you can add a MITSURUGI spell or trap from your deck to your hand. There we go. Hopefully that's actually a starter. And then if another reptile monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can tribute this card instead. They both protect from battle or card effect. Interesting. Okay, and they both trigger themselves, so that's kind of cool. You could even normal summon this, use its effect turn 1 as like a starter card, and then end on it, and if you have to tribute it to protect something, you get an additional search later on. So, cool. Not bad. I think Saji seems better than Kusanagi, but I could easily see combos where Kusanagi still comes up to just help you keep the resource loop going. All right, next up here, we get into our rituals. The first one here, let's take a look at the artwork real quick. Whoa, the first one's crazy. Look at it, it's almost like a hydra of snakes. And then this guy, a cool, like, dragon. He looks like a dragon, kind of, but I guess he's serpentine enough to count as a reptile. Very cool. All right, this one I believe on the left is Ame no Murakumo no MITSURUGI. Okay, level 8 dark reptile ritual. So there's a couple generic cards in the game that just make rituals searchable, so that's still cool. Attack 3,200, defense 800, really big attack. You can ritual summon this card with MITSURUGI Ritual. If this card is special summoned, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Okay, now the question becomes, can we make this on the opponent's turn? Can we drop this on their board? I guess you should be able to do it if you can set it up with Dynamundo already, so that's kind of cool to know that that synergy should be applicable already, but cool. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can activate this effect. Your opponent can discard one card or that effect is negated. Okay. And then if this card is tributed, you can add a MITSURUGI card from your deck to your hand. Then you can special summon this card. Huh? Special summon this card. Okay, so you wouldn't be able to special summon this card, I believe, if you use this from the hand. But if you had already, like, correctly ritual summoned this card and then tributed it, you would be able to. So, like, if you tribute this from hand to summon something else, I don't think you'd be able to summon it back. You would still be able to search. This would be like if you've already correctly summoned it, it's on the field, and it gets tributed, then you can search and summon this back, which is cool. So I wonder if there is a quick effect way to tribute summon in the opponent on the opponent's turn, where you can tribute this off, get a search for follow-up, and summon this back to wipe the board. And then it's also this effect. This effect is interesting. This is kind of a cool way to kind of give this card a Omni-Negate, but like not really. I would imagine in almost every case your opponent is just going to choose to discard if they can afford it. But that's still cool. Like, right? Like this is essentially, it's essentially a hand rip. Now it's the kind of hand rip where your opponent gets to pick the card, so it's not as good, but considering if that effect was not even a part of this card, I still would have said, this card seems kind of okay still. Like, this card actually seems like it's pretty decent regardless. Especially if the deck has a way to drop it on the opponent's head on their turn. So, cool card. That's actually a pretty cool monster. A lot of good effects. 3 really good effects. And of course, they're all on their turn as well, which matters. Next up here, we have the other ritual guide. That one is Futso no Mitama no MITSURUGI. Again, these are all going to get translated later into official, English. Level 8 Dark Reptile Ritual Effect Monster. Also, these are Dark Reptiles, which I believe makes them gettable in, like, I believe that gives them some synergy with Ogdoadic. And I wonder, too, because Ogdoadic is really the main reptile engine that exists in Yu-Gi-Oh! That might be able to pair with this. We'll have to see, but still cool to know. Anyway, and they also have 8, so, like, good, they can fetch levels that are good tributes for these. Anyway, 2,000 attack, 3,400 defense, more defensive this one. If your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can target a reptile monster in your grave, special summon it. Okay, so you don't actually interrupt them with this effect, but you do reborn a reptile. But that does mean you can obviously, if you tributed MITSURUGI to make this in the first place, after officially summoning sorry, this one, not MITSURUGI. If you attributed Ame, after making it officially, you could then just reborn it on the opponent's turn. This just gives you a way to reborn it. It does just reborn any reptile, too, so there's value in that. You could just be reborning either of the small ones here or any generic reptile, which is cool. You can only activate this effect of Futsu once per chain. Once per chain. This effect? Is that saying this effect that's above? So you can just reborn, like, infinite reptiles on the opponent's turn? That's crazy. Okay. If this card is tributed, you can add one MITSURUGI card from your deck to your hand. Then you can special summon this card. Again, like, cool. You can only use this effect once per turn. So this top effect is once per chain. Crazy. Anytime your opponent just special summons a monster once per chain, you just reborn a reptile. That's nasty. And it reborns itself if it's ever tributed, which, takes away, Lava Golem and Kaijus. I know they haven't been that big of an issue lately, but that, certain weird outs don't work on this card. Very cool. All right, spells and traps. This is MITSURUGI Prayers. Is a quick play spell. When you activate this card, you can also cool. So this is going to work kind of like the Pearly quick play spells. You can also attribute a reptile monster in your hand or field to apply one of these effects, or if you tributed a monster at activation, you can apply both. Okay. So if you just activate this card, no tribute, you can just add a MITSURUGI. I mean, this is already a quick play Rhoda, even if you don't tribute something. If you tribute something, you can also take 800. Then you can special summon a MITSURUGI monster from your hand or graveyard, but it cannot attack directly. Okay, so it goes from being, it's almost Sengen Kaiman-esque too, that it's like, it adds, but if you tribute a reptile to use it, it adds then summon. So it basically turns into E-Telly. Whereas Sengen Kaiman just needs to be used in the battle phase. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good card. I mean, this is just a quick play. Rotas are so good because you just always play around Droll with them. It's so good. I like that a lot. That's a really good card. Really good for consistency stuff there. All right, MITSURUGI Ritual. So the next one is the Ritual spell. This is the main one. This could really do a lot to decide whether the deck can actually be good or not, but we'll see. This card can be used to ritual summon any reptile ritual monster, activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of MITSURUGI Ritual once per turn. So this card itself is not a once per turn, but you can only use one effect every time you use it. Okay, first effect says ritual summon one reptile ritual monster from your deck. Okay. By tributing reptile monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal the level of the ritual monster. Ooh, it is equal to level exactly. It is. You cannot exceed the levels. You can't just use any reptile bodies you have to like get it to meet the requirement. You have to tribute exactly level 8's worth to get them out. But it does still summon from deck, which is so nice. Okay. Ritual summon. Oh, that's cool. Ritual summon one reptile ritual monster from your hand specifically by tributing up to 2 reptile monsters from your hand, deck, or field, whose total level is equal to the level of the ritual monster. That's so good. Wow. Wow, that's so cool. That you get to pick either or. If you already have the ritual in hand, you can tribute the other ritual from deck because they both trigger when they're tributed to just immediately get you a search for another MITSURUGI card. So if you have you know, your I guess your negate guy or your board wipe guy, you can tribute the other one straight from deck to summon him, wipe the board, and then you can trigger him to immediately search another MITSURUGI card. Wow, that's so good. Okay, cool. Very cool. Or you just obviously, if you have the tribute materials but not the ritual in hand, that's so cool. This makes this card, that makes this ritual like so much more versatile. That like you don't have to have the ritual in hand already, but if you do, it gets even better. That's so cool. I love that. And you can use both in the same turn, so this helps you get both ritual monsters on the field in the same turn. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right, and the final card here is a normal trap card. This is MITSURUGI Great Purification. This is a normal trap. When your opponent activates a card or effect, tribute 1 level 5 or higher reptile monster, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a reptile in your grave, special summon it, and if you do, tribute 1 other monster you control. That's really good. Yeah, this is just a classic one-of trap. Konami likes doing this day and age with how bad traps are relative to spells. Konami tries to make one that feels worth it. This does give the deck potential like layered interaction, right? This is an Omni Negate in the back row. That tributes your reptiles, which is not a negative thing at all. Because you tribute your big guys, they trigger to get you some kind of search, and it's really good. Very cool. Yeah, really, really cool cards. Is it enough so far? I'm not sure, right? I said that, like, in this deck, seems like it actually does a good amount just in the main deck. So Ryzeal just has a really good rank 4 in to get you into, you know, just Ryzeal stuff if you want. Or you just make, you could just use them to go into stuff like your, what's it called? Into your King of the Feral Imps to just search any reptile. That has potential. Obviously, Ogdoadic has potential here. Very curious, like, the one thing I didn't see here, and that's something to definitely keep in mind, the deck does not have, like, a great end board way of, like, quick tributing on the opponent's turn. Now, you do still have ways to, like, you can reborn him off of him on the opponent's turn, and I'm not saying it's not something you can do, like, because the trap should also be able to get it back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The trap can only use one of its effects per turn, so you can't negate something and then reborn something all on your opponent's turn. You got to pick one. But for what I'm reading here, every card kind of read good. Is it enough entirely? I don't know yet, but I think it's cool. I've always liked reptiles, and this is a really interesting direction for them to kind of push them in. So very curious to see what people kind of come up with and how good this deck can actually be. Pretty cool stuff, definitely. But yeah, I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know your thoughts down below on this new archetype. What do you think? What's the potential so far for this deck? Does it need a second wave in the next core set following Supreme? This says pseudo. This is the TCG exclusive. I'm actually so crazy. Oh my god. How did I miss that? How did I miss that? So this is the TCG exclusive. So we know it's going to get 7 more cards in Alliance Insight. How did I miss that? Oh my god. I bet you I have so many comments on this video telling me, dude, this is the TCG exclusive, not the not Alliance Insight. But that's how you know they didn't make it this far in the video. So that's on them. But okay, very cool. Very, very cool. Wow. So this is going to come, this is going to be here in like the next month. That's really cool. I think this is I think this might be playable out the gate. I don't know how playable, but considering, like, I think all 70s cards kind of read pretty nasty. So as long as the second wave is like decent, we may be in a really good spot here going forward. That's really cool. All right. There we go. Those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know yours down below. I've never been the biggest ritual guy overall, but you guys know I've been a big proponent for reptiles and hoping that they get better stuff. And maybe this is it. Maybe it is. I don't know. But let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear it. But I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.